and welcome back to my channel. I have got a special guest here, Kenji, and he has come bearing gifts. This is his new book, Ferment. We've never had anyone on this channel doing fermentation. We've had all sorts of guests from different cuisines, but fermentation is something we've not done. So I'm very excited. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
This is
very
fantastic.
Exciting.
My daughter loves kimchi.
Nice.
And I'm very excited because that's what you're making today.
Yes, we are making kimchi.
Wow.
Yes, we're going to be doing my corner shop kimchi, which utilizes slightly more accessible ingredients and a few hacks to make the process easier.
Yes. So this is brand new book.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about
exactly,
it?
Yeah, so the book is called Ferment, Simple Ferments and Pickles and How to Eat Them. Essentially, it's about not just how to make miso, kombucha, sauerkraut, kimchi, but also how to utilize it in your everyday cooking. So simple recipes from starters to mains, puddings to cocktails that incorporate fermentation.
Oh, so you've got ferments and then you're using them to create recipes.
Exactly.
So
kind of, empowering people to treat them not just as a sole thing, and actually how can you incorporate these flavors, the umami, the sourness into normal cooking. So it doesn't just languish on your fridge.
That is more helpful than just giving ferments.
I think so, because usually the biggest question that people have is, how do I eat them?
Yeah.
What do I do with them now?
Yeah.
And the real answer is do whatever you want with them, but people do need that little encouragement. Which
Absolutely.
is why this book is here.
Absolutely. Like myself, I'm not a big fermenter. Yeah, fermenter. So this is very, very helpful. Okay, let's get cooking. Before that, you know the drill. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button, and I will leave Kenji's book link and his Instagram link in the description. So please do go check it out.
We're first going to prepare the cabbage and all the other vegetables. We're going to chop them up into bite-sized pieces and then salt them, which will help release the liquid and get it ready to ferment.
So which cabbage are we talking?
This is a Hispy or Sweetheart cabbage.
Okay.
The main reasoning is that, in my mind, it's slightly more accessible than a Chinese leaf, which of course is traditional and will work equally as well. But again, the whole ethos of this dish is just go to your local shop. What can you buy to make kimchi out of?
So I got all the ingredients from my local supermarket, which was easy. Not an Asian supermarket, just a normal supermarket.
Yeah, and the beauty is that honestly with kimchi, you can really make kimchi out of anything. I like to think of kimchi, people often talk about this as a verb, right? Like doing kimchi, and it's kind of a spectrum of doing things, right? So once you understand the process and the paste, you can really get creative with the vegetables you use. Okay, great. So now that this is all chopped up, I'm just gonna put it into a bowl. I am keeping track of the weight of everything in it. The reason being is that with fermentation, it's always a percentage of the weight that you're adding in salt, which will kind of allow for that safe fermentation. So we're going to be adding, again, that's the Hispy cabbage.
So how much was that then?
That's roughly 480 grams.
Okay.
And the reason that it's actually okay to leave the peel on is that, remember that there's microbes everywhere, right, on all these vegetables. So in fact, those microbes are good for the fermentation process. If you're in a rush, you could also box grate these carrots. You could put them into a food processor, but essentially you want them to be quite thin. Because we're going to be fermenting everything together, so it should be at a similar surface area. Yeah, and essentially surface area means the amount of area on a piece of vegetable. And the smaller it is, the more easily it is to kind of create a brine from the vegetables, which I'll be showing in a second. Carrots I've shredded. We're about 656 grams.
So that was 480 of the leaves.
Yes.
This doesn't have to be same, or it could be any amount,
right? And that's what's nice about kimchi. Like, I'm just kind of eyeballing 2 carrots. You can add more carrot, less carrot. You can throw in fennel. You can throw in other types of cabbage. Really, whatever you want.
But you're just keeping an eye on the total weight.
Exactly, because then I'll be doing about 3% salt of the entirety of that weight. And that's why it's important to just keep it all measured so you know how much salt to add.
I see.
Truthfully though, there's a lot of, like Korean grandmothers who just kind of eyeball the salt. But I think, if you are new to fermentation, it's good to stick to the percentages just so you have the confidence that you know what you're doing.
But also you're using so many ingredients and spending time preparing it. You want it to work.
Exactly.
But I can imagine like Indian grandmothers making pickles. Like I know they just eyeball all the spices.
Exactly, and that's what I love about it though, right? There are all these hidden secrets from our elders. But yeah, so again, traditionally with kimchi, you are using like daikon muli, but I personally find English radishes to be, obviously similar taste. You can find these anywhere and they're very affordable. And again, just a really easy way to throw in a lot of vegetables into your diet.
Yeah.
But again, I make kimchi out of rhubarb, out of pumpkin, out of pretty much anything.
Well, I think it might not be very late to make rhubarb kimchi. I might still be able to find
I think you can.
Yeah.
143 grams. So I'm going to do 0.03, which is 3% salt. So I'm going to be adding about 22 grams of salt to this amount. Okay, I went a little bit over, but that's okay. Sweet. So now after we do this, so we've added the right amount of salt. Now I'm just going to be giving it a massage.
Oh, and like squeeze it.
Exactly. So you really can go in there with quite a lot of intensity, actually. And what you're doing, and that's why it's important to keep things small, by using the salt and using pressure, you're breaking down the cell walls to release water. Oh. And essentially, this is what's called dry brining.
Oh, it's already...
Yeah. So essentially, you need, in order for fermentation to be successful, you need to create a salty brine. So the salty brine is actually coming purely from the vegetables. So you give it a massage, and I'll give it a massage for some time, but honestly, you can just let it sit on the counter and salt will do its thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I honestly think this is a really good thing to do if you're stressed out, if you're just like, you know, it can get a lot of aggression out. And people often sometimes tell me like, oh, Kenji, like, it's hard for me to create brine. Like, it's not that juicy. And in that situation, I would say, number one, just keep going.
Yeah.
Because again, and with fermentation, the challenge at times is that there's so many factors at play. Like the freshness of the vegetables. If the cabbage was harvested yesterday, there's a lot more water than if it was harvested a month ago. So that's why a recipe for ferment is quite a funny one, because there's always gonna be variation.
You can already see so much moisture in there.
Yeah.
Wow, and it's only taken you 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, not long at all. But again, obviously this, you know, depends how fresh everything is. But again, this is what you're looking for. Yeah. So at this point, you could actually kind of start with the rest of the kimchi process, but you can also let it sit to continue to let it brine.
Okay, we can let it sit for 10 minutes.
Exactly, exactly. Especially if you're struggling with this step.
Yeah.
So now we let it sit.
Okay. So you are moved on to the next step, which is?
Yeah, so I'm now making the kimchi paste. So I'm going to be cutting up some of the spring onion whites, we'll put in the paste, and the greens we'll put in the kimchi itself. I'm just gonna prepare all of it right now.
So just a handful?
Yeah, so usually I do like 3 spring onions, but honestly, if you really love spring onion, throw in more. Okay. If you don't like it, throw in less. Traditionally, there is usually green onion in it, or an allium of sorts. But you know, if you want to throw in wild garlic, if you want to throw in other things, more power to you. Then just some ginger, roughly 30 grams or so, 15 to 20 grams. But again, similarly, if you really like ginger, I love ginger and kimchi, so I actually usually throw in more. Okay. I think it's a really nice flavor. You don't need to peel it, personally, because again, a lot of good microbes on the ginger skin. So I'll just do like a rough chop before putting it into a food processor. So we're doing ginger, but then I'm gonna add some garlic. And I like to go kind of equal parts ginger to garlic. Okay. Slightly more ginger, just again, personal preference, but do what you like. But I'd say ginger and garlic are some of the like main requirements in a kimchi.
I see.
In terms of flavors.
Okay, so you've chopped up everything and you've got half an apple there, right?
Exactly, so apple for some nice sweetness. So for the paste, we're gonna be adding the spring onion whites.
Greens? Oh, sorry, whites.
The apple, some ginger and garlic.
Okay.
And now I'm also gonna be adding, we do need the miso there. We'll be adding some miso. And again, this is instead of using fish sauce or fermented shrimp. Okay,
so this is going to be proper vegetarian.
Exactly. So this is a vegan, vegetarian kimchi.
Oh, that's handy.
Exactly, which I think if you're new to fermenting and don't want to play with meat or fish products, it just makes it a bit easier.
This is specifically red miso, not white miso.
Exactly. You can use white miso, you can, but again, white miso has less salt, so you might want to adjust it slightly. So we're using Kashmiri chili pepper. Normally you'd be using gochugaru, which are Korean chili flakes. Okay. So not too spicy, a bit floral. So if you don't have gochugaru, Kashmiri chili works well. Okay. And actually the first time I ever started to really make kimchi in India, I used Kashmiri chili. So again, you want one that isn't too spicy, mainly for the color and some fruitiness and obviously some heat, but you don't want to use normal chili. Okay. And but if someone is like really mad for heat, go crazy. Add more if you want. Like again, and that's the beauty of all these things, adjust it to your personal taste. So we've added everything. Great, so now we're gonna blitz this. Okay. Oh, wow. So we've left it for an hour while we had some coffee. That is a lot of moisture. Okay. So again, what we're going to be doing, traditionally you would remove all of it, but because I want this to be slightly more accessible, it's important to keep some of the brine. Okay. Because one of my mantras of fermenting is that everything is fine below the brine. Oh. Meaning that when you are fermenting, oxygen is the enemy. So if you keep everything below the liquid, it'll be safe. I see. And that's why it's important for this liquid to be created. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is actually just straining some of it. Okay. But for this recipe, I'm going to keep some of the brine. Okay. Just to make it a bit easier. Okay.
Guys, we've also shot a sandwich with Kenji. So yeah, if you want to see that, you have to stay tuned to the channel. It'll come soon.
See so much water.
Yeah.
So to this, I've strained some of the liquid. I'm adding the green onions and then all the kimchi paste.
Like ours is not like totally smooth, but that's all right. Is that all right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I would say it's really up to you. I mean, this isn't perfectly smooth, which is, I mean, but it's still quite pasty. You might have just bits of ginger or garlic, which I think is okay. But yeah, if you don't have a food processor, you can obviously mince everything, which does take some time. Mortar and pestle works.
I would love to do this in mortar and pestle, actually.
Adding a bit of sugar just to help out balance the flavor. And now all you do is mix it all up. So we have the paste, the salted vegetables, green onion.
So how long do you suggest to put this in the jar before we eat it?
Sure, good question. So I would say usually 5 to 7 days at room temperature.
Okay.
But you know, if it's really hot, it'll happen faster. If you're fermenting in the middle of a London winter, it's gonna be much slower.
Okay.
So my main tip is just like look for the signs. You'll see bubbling, you'll hear hissing, you'll see the colors change. But also the thing with fermentation I always say is that try a little, try often.
Okay.
So try it every day. When you're happy with it, move it to the fridge.
So you mean, should I not put it on the windowsill there or just leave it in the shade?
I would say ideally in the shade.
Okay.
The main reason being is that any fluctuations in temperature can impact it.
Oh.
That said, living in London, you know, it's never going to be that extreme.
Yeah.
But I always tell, because again, I started fermenting when I lived in India, and in the Mumbai summer, it started fermenting within a day.
Yeah.
Right. So it really depends where you're fermenting in terms of, you know, what makes sense.
Yeah, because on the channel here, we've got people from all over the place. So I think suggesting in the shade is actually, makes sense.
Again, it will mellow down with time.
Okay.
Right? All the flavors. And also it's a bit salty now, but again, with the salt, it'll convert, you know, it creates the environment. So that'll also become less salty with time.
You have no idea how excited I am to have a homemade kimchi jar in my kitchen.
Good.
How many different ferments do you have in your own house at a time?
Probably have at least 200 plus jars of different projects.
Do what?
200.
What?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, you said 2 and I thought, okay, could have been more, but
I have so
200.
Probably at least, yeah. I have 2 different fridges.
No, stop.
Main fridge and then a fermentation fridge, yeah. So once you have it in, you want to minimize the oxygen, so you're going to push it all down. And again, everything is fine below the brine, which is why you want that liquid. So once we have that, I'm just going to give it a bit of a tidy. And then over the next few days, there'll be a lot more liquid that's produced due to osmosis and just like salt drawing out liquid. And it's important as that happens to keep everything below the brine. And the best way to do that is you can either use some parchment paper, you can use some cling film. A really easy, wonderful hack is using the outer leaves of a cabbage.
Okay.
Right, because it has structure. Kind of put it in there and almost like invert it a little bit so it like nuzzles under.
Yeah.
Because again, ultimately you just want a division between the liquid and the vegetables. Cool, so a really good hack is just use one of these guys.
So clever, guys.
And again, there's not so much liquid right now, but with time, definitely by tomorrow, there'll be a lot more. There should be more.
So we are very lucky because, you got us some from home, which is what we have at home. So he's made some for us so we can taste it on camera. And I can tell you exactly how it tastes after. How old is this one?
I made that April 1st.
April 1st. Oh my God. Okay, so that's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
Let's try some.
It's been a room temperature since April 1st.
Oh, so we don't have to put it in the fridge at all?
It depends what you want. But I would say for me, for this one, I'm mainly cooking with it now, so I keep it at room temperature. So you can see it's quite funky. It's very sour.
It's sour, but I love it. But that's what kimchi should be. It shouldn't be like a plain.
Yeah, exactly.
And spicy.
Do you like it?
Oh, I love it.
So you can try, this is the fresh one, and this will probably taste saltier, just because again, there's obviously, the salt hasn't really converted bacteria yet. But that will become that. Main difference again is...
You're right, so it's salty, and it hasn't got that sourness to it yet.
Yeah, exactly. The salt is what allows for that sourness. So I would say, you know, leave this at room temperature. If you get nervous about it, keep it in the fridge, but that will become that.
Definitely check this out. So it's available in the UK.
It's available in the UK, international delivery, and it's releasing in the US September 2nd.
It's going to be coming out in US, UK international delivery. Definitely check it out. Thank you so much for coming. This is very exciting, and wait for our sandwich video, which will be out soon. And yeah, check out his Instagram for more videos and more recipes and tips and tricks. But leave us a comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you back soon. Bye.